Welcome to The Lumber Word, where industry veterans Matt Beamer, Greg Riley, and Ashley Buckold dissect the world of commodity lumber each week. We bring you up-to-date insights on supply, demand, and market trends, sharing our trading expertise to benefit everyone in the supply chain. Join us for informative and entertaining discussions that guarantee to make you wiser about all things lumber.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of The Lumber Word with Matt Beamer from Hampton Lumber Sales and Greg Riley from Sitka USA. I'm Ashley Buckold. This is being recorded on the 20th of December on Wednesday. We were all able to get together and get this put together. What I wanted to go through today, we're going to talk a little bit about housing starts and permits and the market and the predictions from 2024. I think that should be a lot of fun and should make up some good listening for the crew that listens to our podcast. I'm excited to talk about housing starts and permits because they came out better than expected, a big blowout number, I would say, and had a good effect on the market also going forward. So, Greg, what did you think on the housing starts and permits?
I mean, I think we had a precursor to it when we saw Lennar come out with a 32% increase in their sales number. Single-family housing starts were up 18% from the prior month. Overall, starts were up 14.4%. So we've now got year-to-date housing starts at a 9.9. When you think about that and where we were a year ago and the numbers that were being thrown around, like what people thought for this year, it's pretty impressive. That's for sure. As a follow-up, permits for the year, single families down 12.4% and multifamilies down 19.6%. So, as we've been talking about for a number of weeks, single family is going to hold up better as we go forward than the multifamily. I mean, the projections are multifamily is going to be down.
So one of the big numbers that I kind of caught my eye on here was the completions number. And what did you say the houses under construction were, Greg, about?
They fell a little bit because the completions were so high. At the end of the period was 1.685. Interesting. That's not down very much from the high of just around right at 1.7 million. But we had completions. Let me tell you what that completion number was. Stand by. Completions was 1.447. Housing starts for the month at 1,560,000 and completions 1,447. As you know, for most of this year, we've had where completions have been running a little bit higher than starts. So this is the first month that's kind of changed.
Matt, any thoughts on the housing number that came out this week?
No, I was a little bit surprised, but it's all good news, right? So, I'm happy. It's nice to see that there's still life in the home building business.
Yeah, the first thing I was surprised, that number, but then I go back and I look at the business that we've been doing. You and I talk about it too, Matt and Greg. We're always, business has been pretty good the last few months, which is reflective of this. Sometimes things are like we were talking, I think a couple podcasts ago about there's a big lag sometime where people don't realize when things are worse or better until after the fact a lot of times. And I think this thing has been improving for quite a long time and at a time when people's heads may have not been in that space, if that makes sense.
I think it's just a normal seasonal strength, right? We deflated the market into late October, early November, and now we've been kind of gradually going up in a pretty organized fashion here for the last 2 months. And really, if you just look at charts and graphs, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, like you and I talked today, Matt, for a bit while you were making your table. You were pretty on this a couple months ago, right? Or a month ago, you're like, hey, buy some stuff, kind of wait to get back and sell it, right? But not in any big hurry. But I'm sure you've been selling some stuff in the last week or so. Greg and I, we come in and we had goals of what we wanted to hit every day and kind of came across better than we thought they were going to.
Yeah, I think there's a general rally underfoot right now. whether it's futures or cash is irrelevant. There's just stuff is getting sold. And because of, the half a week off and the week and a half off that the Western mills are going to have here starting Monday, they're interested in extending order files or, quoting one extra car after they sell the last car that they wanted to sell for 2023 is about zero. What happens how do markets change, Greg? You've talked about this many times, complacency, right? So people just get used to the same old, then eventually things change, right? And what's changed here in the last 2 months is there's just less production. So we'll see how it all stacks up. But, the other thing that's been good for the market is weather. Weather's been, we don't talk about weather that much, but weather's been favorable for wintertime housing starts and wintertime activity. What's it like over there in Chicago? You tell me last time we did this, it was 55 and sunny.
Yeah, it was 19 yesterday, but today it's 35 to 40 and sunny. I mean, it's nice out. What's the Hampton area? What's your area of the world doing market? Dry dug fir, hem fir, those type items.
There's a significant rally starting on Monday on the West Coast, dry dug fir, green dug fir. So the Western, and these are West Coast customers buying it primarily.
Yep.
There's been a lot of that stuff bought and sold in the last 3 days. So, things are really good.
Yeah, no doubt. Greg, what about the Eastern market? What's your thought on that Eastern Canadian market?
The thing that we've seen over these last couple months is a real change in attitude and outlook from the marketplace, from an area of concern and uncomfortability. We've been ticking off one thing at a time that's been building confidence, whether it's continued, better new home sales, whether it's the Federal Reserve saying they're done raising interest rates, whether it's the stock market hitting new highs, whether it's, housing starts surprising everyone. So I keep contrasting this year with last year. Last year at this point in time, everybody was still reducing inventory. They're expecting 1 million housing starts, and there was not a very positive outlook. I look today and I go, geez, the outlook's pretty positive for at least the first quarter, the first half of next year. Everybody's feeling really good about that. Ding, ding, ding. I am concerned. I'm concerned about that. I'm worried, but you know what they say, the trend is your friend. And right. We've got an
Thank you for listening to the Lumber Word.
Newsflash,
where every week our new and archived podcasts are listened to by multiple lumber industry participants. How do we know this? Well, we track it, and we also get a lot of feedback from them. If you want to promote your company or service in this spot, please reach out to me, Ashley, at 312-560-7984. Again, that's Ashley at 312-560-7984. Thank you for listening, and now that's a perfect time to have a little word from our sponsor. Okay, we're back.
And that's the paid programming part of the show. Eastern market has had a lot of after. I'll tell you, here's the thing. The thing that's gotten the most is 9-foot studs have had a ride here in the last. I had a tinkle of it. Did I say that? Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Well,
you meant an ankle. Way to go, Grandpa.
Yeah.
You can tell you've got grandkids. Yep.
We had an inkling of that late last week. We heard some stuff, and then this week starting out was a little bit better. Was a slow burn, but in the last 24 hours, 9-foot is up $30-$40 a thousand and getting some play. 2x6 9s, which have been a DOG, and that's not a Snoop. That's not a Snoop DOG, double G.
Yeah.
I've got them. They've moved, and I'm very. If we want to do your love it, hate it, want to marry it,
Marry,
uh,
divorce it.
I'm having an orgy with those right now.
Are they still cheaper than 2 before 9s,
No.
or has that corrected itself?
No, they're just marginally above it, though. Not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they could blow out $50 to $100 from here, and
Sure,
nobody would even notice it. I just want to like scoop up everything I can and put it in the freezer, Maddie.
Yeah, and look at
No, I
we're
get
talking about 2x6 92 and 5/8, which were, if 9s were a dog, what would you call 2x6 8-footers?
Oh, redheaded stepchildren.
So,
Redheaded stepchildren.
so we've seen a lot of that
No
move.
disrespect to those folks.
Well, but look at so my thought on that is, in market related, multifamily jobbers were taking orders the last few months, and it went from where you could take them for the whole package at a pretty high number down to you had to get down on your belly to take business for Q1 of 2024. And I think some of this covering is some of the jobbers and people that have business sold for Q1 that they, can I say, lunged at in some cases. Some didn't, but some may have, are covering some of that. And that's why you see 9s move like the way they did today.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's not just the apartment guys either. It's the retailers are also. So you think about the way that the retail business works. They sell on a trailing price average for the most part. Sometimes it's monthly pricing, sometimes it's quarterly pricing. But the fact is, they're selling lumber at a former price, and so when the market starts to show some strength going into seasonal strength, like the time of year from January through May, where they're going to be busier and they know they're going to be busier, they just buy more lumber, right? So I think not just the job shipper guys. I think there's more to it than that. And in about a month, maybe 6 weeks, the retail home center business will start to really pile in on the home center stuff, plus the treaters.
So I just put the poll out, and I'll give you guys a preview here, and this is for our listeners also. What will the 2024 high of the year for 2x4 Western SPF be?
Western Mill SPF, right?
Yes, Western SPF FOB.
We'd have to add 108 to that to get it
current
Chicago.
Price. What's the current price? 412.
Well, the current print price is 408 mil on Friday, right?
Yeah, I think midweek was 412. Wasn't it, Matt?
Probably.
Yes, it's 412, Greg.
What is Hampton selling 2x4 Western SPF 2x4s for?
I mean, we're heavy 1820, so that just raises the value. But if we just had like a gut ball random, it would probably be, I don't know, 425, 420 to 430, let's say. We get a little bit more for our lumber. Babine and Decker have pretty good reputations, and so it's a little different animal to compare to just print.
So here are my options.
Yeah.
High price will be 450 to 500. High price will be 550 to 600. High price over 600. Moonshot to 1,000 plus.
Well, I'll tell
you. Can we start with predictions? Are we going to do it now?
I've got that number in my predictions for next year. So
okay, great. Well, let's. This is what a great segue.
But hey, Greg, you got to go over to Greg Riley's LinkedIn, and make sure you do that, and don't try to get cute and like do the opposite of what everybody's doing. Just give a Gus feeling of what you feel.
I mean, I had to put the 1,000 because we had a call today from an interested party that declared that. So
he said the road is paved to 1,000.
Road is paved to 1,000. So I figured I'd just hey, listen, phone up NASA. It's a moonshot.
So all right, let's go into this.
Let's start, Ash.
Let's start out predictions for 2024. I've got my number written down here. The high of the year is going to be in the first quarter at 542 on cash.
Do you have any other predictions for the year?
10-year Treasury will hang right around about its average at 5%. That's from looking at the chart going back to 1795 right here, boys.
Up from 3.9 today. Okay.
Let's see here. Multifamily improves a little bit drives a lot of the business and lumber into Q1. That is really the most I could guess on, Greg, because you told me that you've been writing up some great ones all week and Matt did them. So I'm going to let you guys give some predictions.
All right, we'll pick
go ahead,
one of
Matt.
us.
Greg, go ahead.
No, Matt's going to go.
Matt, go ahead. There you go.
Okay, well, it's funny. I laughed when you said 542 mil because I guessed 540 mil.
So where was our head there? Okay.
I don't know. I just think that number felt legitimate to me. I also feel like futures will be a premium.
In my poll, would you pick 550 to 600? That's what you're going to pick?
I would. Yeah, that's close enough.
Okay.
And I would say that at some point futures will go premium to cash here and probably in the second quarter.
Cash go premium to futures.
Yeah. Sorry, cash go premium to futures.
Oh,
and then
that's why you're selling the board here. I get it. Okay.
No, dude, I sell the board all the time because I hedge inventory. But the rest of the story for me would be I expect a second half deflation into a November low of 340. And I expect trucking company failures to continue.
Good. Okay.
I expect that the railroads will negotiate in 2024. I think that the days of them just kicking us in the teeth are over. I think that the average new home price is going to go down. I think the average existing home price is going to go down in not all markets, but in a lot of markets. I see rates being flat in the 6 to 7 range. I think starts will finish the year at like 1.3 to 1.4. You'll see a gradual increase throughout the year of European imports and more Southern Yellow pine, and a continued loss of BC production. Better industrial markets, because they can't get any worse than they've been. The pallet and crate business is terrible and has been all year. And then I suspect that the home center business is going to be maybe a little slower than this year, but at the worst, or at the best, it's going to be the same as 2023. So, all in all, I expect a pretty good trading market for all of us. Once again, I think the 2023 was a relatively safe trading year, with small ranges, relatively speaking. And I think we're going to see a little bit wider range in 2024, but not like 2022 or 2021. I don't agree with the guy that says the road is paved to 1,000 at all. I just think that's a pipe dream. Sorry.
What's the range been this year? What has the range been?
You know what's going on right now, Matt? We picked the same number, so Greg's going to have to pick something different.
Yeah. That's not good if we're all picking the same number. We should not be picking the same number.
Well, no, because I am going to go a little misdirection on you here in that. So one of the things that I look at is long-term average prior to pandemic. The average price range for Western spruce 2x4s was $135 the entire year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From high to low, it was $135. We just obliterated that. I'm going to say that last year we probably had, and I wish I'd pulled the numbers. That's my bad. But 22, 23.
I'm guessing it was about $180 to $200 there, Greg, max.
The high 5 FOB mill, high 515, low FOB mill of what was it, like 330, right? So I'm going to say you had just shy of a $200 range this year. Right. I'm going to say next year's range will be less than half of that. We've had ranges where the market traded in a $60 range all year. And why do I say that? Well, as we can see, like recently, the market's pretty stubborn on going any lower because we're below mill cost of production. So, there's been a lot of quiet quitting out there. There's been a lot of quiet quitting. Mills
millennial term.
Hey, look at, huh? How about that? Yeah. How many mills have reduced a shift here, reduced a shift there? How many mills have taken production out, not made any announcements because that makes them seem like they're weak, right? They don't want to do that. But they rationalize production. And I mean, mills are the strongest holders of inventory, and I think they're going to fight really, really hard to not go down and lose more money in 2023. I mean 24, and I think that the demand volume is going to let them do that. The market's going to be dominated by inventory accumulation, distribution in a relatively narrow range, but there's going to be some great opportunities and basis within that. A lot of my predictions, I've got several predictions here. I'm not sure if they're wishful thinking or fantasy. Well, or maybe both. But my
What's
big
the
prediction
difference,
is,
Greg?
huh?
What's the difference?
One hit versus five.
I'm saying that on the political side, neither Biden nor Trump will be the nominees of their party. Very controversial statement, I know, but there it is. It's out there. I'm also going to say that what's something that could happen that would just throw everything a curve. When I heard that Z told Biden in San Francisco that, hey, we're going to take Taiwan. We just don't know when we're going to do it yet. And he went and he had some sort of inaudible mumbling response.
Yeah, because basically they're going to take the chips off the table.
So
the literal chip production.
But I do have this. But I've got it. So my wild card is that what all of the things that we're thinking about the backdrop under the category of unknown unknowns, the geopolitical dominoes could really dominate in an election year and jockeying. It may happen to Matt's point, more in the second half of the year, but that's a bit of my wild card. So in that I have oil going back to over 100. I have the Federal Reserve not cutting rates at all, and which kind of ties in, Ashley, with you having the long rate go back up to 5%. So what does that do? I mean, stocks are not going to like that, but I don't know that it has a significant impact on the new home construction as we saw this year.
I made a bet with a realtor buddy of mine. At most, there would be one rate cut in 2024, and man, he couldn't bet me fast enough. He's like, "Oh, there'll be at least two." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well,
is he
see.
Still charging 6%, clipping 6% on real estate transactions?
None of them get more than 4% here in the Portland market, but he's speaking from his own pocket, right?
Yeah,
and
his
wish is for lower rates, right?
Yeah, I think everybody.
I think people do, and I think you have to train yourself not to, right? I mean, like if you really want to learn how to be flexible and adaptable, because as you, Greg, have done in your career, and you, Ashley, have also done, when new information presents itself, you have to switch gears, right? So, for example, we've seen new information in the last 60 days or so compared to the previous 60 days. And so we have switched gears. And so that's what this show's all about, really, is just taking the 70 years of combined, or maybe 80 of combined experience amongst the three of us, and kind of wrapping it up in a 30-minute segment. But the fact of the matter is, you can't do this if you aren't willing to try to be neutral and with yourself, right? You can lie to yourself, but at the end of the day, your statement, however much money you make, is based on your decisions. And if your decisions are wishful, based on past information, you're just not going to make the money that you deserve.
Yeah, some of the best advice I ever got on that, Matt, was that little guy in your head helping you make those decisions is still you, right? So make sure you talk to other people, right? And analyze stuff and think about the pluses and minuses. And I mean, that's why I like doing this podcast, because we throw ideas around and
we talk it out. The other thing is that like you and Greg both have been doing this for a long time in an environment where you're both long and short at the same time for different reasons.
That really confuses people, though. Boy, oh boy,
it does. But if you can get yourself to that position in your career, then you will force yourself to start looking at things differently, because there's a whole different mindset when you're doing future business or things like that.
I watched the GameStop movie the other night. I was trying to explain to two people.
How was it?
It was great. I thought I tried to explain to two people that were with me what the funds when they were short GameStop, what that meant, and they're like, "Huh?
Ooh.
How can you be short?
How
How can you be short something that you don't own?" I'm like, "Okay, let's get back to the movie." But Matt, to your point,
I think that one of the greatest movies on that, besides Glenn Ross, is The Big Short.
Sure. Big Short's great.
That is wow.
Yeah.
The greatest part of that movie isn't the fact that they all won a bunch of money because they were right. The greatest part of that movie is when Steve Carell goes into the meeting in Vegas and he bets the guy. He goes, he says some outlandish thing, and the guy gives him some crap answer, and he goes, "My guess is it's going to be 0." And he just stands up and goes, "0 people are going to," and he's just like a total jerk about it. It was right after the Jared character told him to keep it a low profile and all that stuff because we're doing some investigation here. I just thought Steve Carell just nailed that part.
That's great.
The crazy thing is that the fund that was squeezing him to liquidate the position at a loss ended up making a ginormous amount of money.
Huh.
Anyhow, I digress.
But what's your number on 2x4? Did you have one yet?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't put a number out. My high of the year in 20. You know what? No, I have to wait till the poll comes out, and then I use the poll to do my prediction. Everybody's going to have to wait until our first show of 2024 for that.
Okay.
I'm the Grand Wizard on this, guys. Come on.
That's funny.
No, I love it. All right. Well, look, that was a great show. This will probably be the last podcast for this year. We'll start out of the gate strong in January. And plan on doing a couple of video ones and get that back in the mix. But it's been a great year so far.
Yeah,
fellas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, you guys.
We got a lot of great guests lined up for next year already.
Yeah.
So
I know we've been asked by one of the guys holding a big event out in Vancouver to come and do our show live there next year at his event.
I thought you told me we were going to be on stage someplace in.
I haven't heard back from the Montreal. We haven't heard back from the guys at Montreal yet.
I just want to make sure, because I make sure, Matt, if we're on stage doing this, you need to wear your hat, your cowboy hat.
Well, no, I'll make sure I shave though, and maybe wear a suit.
No,
that's a formal deal in Montreal.
No. We're going to be. You got no.
I just set my shaver now to a really light growth. And just make, just to make it look like it's barely growing.
Yeah.
All right, Jed.
Hey, you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Wish you and the family a great one, Matt. And
thanks, you too, Greg. You too, Ash.
Listeners out there, have a great holiday season. Thank you for everything all year. We do this because we love it. And, the fact that you listen to us always amazes me.
Yeah, thank you.
Sounds great. Everybody have a great holiday.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of The Lumber Word. The Lumber Word podcast is dedicated to engaging conversations about the lumber industry, including trading ideas, market trends, and evaluations of overvalued and undervalued assets. We wish to emphasize that the discussions and opinions expressed in this podcast are purely for informational and entertainment purposes. They should not be considered as financial or investment advice. We encourage our listeners to make their own financial decisions, taking into account their unique circumstances and financial goals, and to seek professional financial advice if necessary.